Hi, I'm Marcia Brixey. I am the founder of MoneyWise Women Educational Services. I'm also the author of The Money Therapist, A Woman's Guide to Creating a Healthy Financial Life. In this segment, we are going to talk about your financial report card. That's your credit report and your score. And if you don't already know this, your credit report and score is more important than SATs are to high school students. Who's looking at your credit report? Pretty much everyone's looking at your credit report. Not only are financial institutions looking at your credit report to determine whether to loan you money and what interest rate, but insurance companies are looking at your credit report to determine whether to renew you or to raise your premiums. Potential employers are looking at your credit report to determine whether or not to hire you. And if you don't believe this is true, I know it for a fact. I have a friend who works for the government and told me that there was a woman well qualified for a job. They were ready to hire her. This is several years ago, by the way. Took a look at her credit report, and guess what? She didn't get the job. So it is important. Landlords review your credit report to determine whether or not to rent to you. Your credit report is extremely important. Now, there are three major credit reporting agencies: Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion. They all have slightly different databases, so information that's shown on one may not be the same information that's shown on the other. The most wonderful thing that the government has ever done for us, in my opinion, is to offer a free credit report for everyone. So you would request that at annualcreditreport.com, not freecreditreport.com. That wonderful commercial, not free. It's really not free. Annualcreditreport.com. And you can request it online, you can print it out, you can review it to make sure it's accurate. Now, why do we get it free? Because identity theft is the fastest growing white-collar crime in the United States. More than 10 million people a year are victims of identity theft. So once you've requested your credit report, and if you haven't done it and you're listening to me today, as soon as you get off this, as soon as I quit, you want to get on right away and request your credit report. You want to review it. You want to print it out. You want to review it for accuracy. Are all the accounts yours? Are they still open? Are some of your accounts closed? You want to review everything on there. You want to make sure that nobody else is using your account. Why is your credit report important? It is important because, as I said, everyone's looking at it. But the other thing that's important is that if you're getting married, I know this doesn't sound very romantic, but if you're getting married, you need to ask your fiance to request his or her credit report. And you need to do this not in an argument, a fighting stage, but in a very calm stage. And you need to sit down together and you need to review the credit reports together. Because here's the deal, ladies. Opposites attract. Spenders and savers attract. And you want to know what you're getting into before you get married. Because your credit reports, although they're separate, as soon as you get married and you start opening credit cards together, it becomes blended. Now, the same thing goes if you're getting divorced. If you're getting divorced, even if you're in the process of getting divorced and you have an attorney, your soon-to-be ex has an attorney, both of you need to review each other's credit reports. Because no matter what the judge says, no matter what the divorce decree says, if it says your ex-husband is responsible for paying this credit card, the credit card companies don't care what the judge says, what the divorce decree says. So you need to make sure that you know what the credit is. Not only is your credit report important, but so is your credit score. And your credit score, the most commonly used credit model is FICO, MyFICO. And your credit report, your credit score is not free. It's going to cost you about $15 to request it, but it is so important. It's a number that's attached to your rating. They range from 300, the credit scores range from 300 to 850. The higher your score, the better for you. Scores from 800 and above are excellent. The further down it goes, the little goes to very low credit risk, and 599 and below, very bad. You probably aren't going to get money, and if you are going to get loan money, you're going to pay a very high percentage. Now, I want to go one step further, one step before we go into the next item, and that is a hard inquiry versus a soft inquiry. Now, when I was talking about trimming your spending, I talked about retail therapy. Here's the deal. Any of you ever been to the mall and you go from credit from department store to department store, Macy's and Nordstrom's and Penny's and Kohl's, and each place you go, they say, would you like to open a credit card with us? And we'll give you 15% off today. Guess what they're doing every time you say yes? They are requesting your credit report. And every time that they request your credit report, that is a hard inquiry. And a hard inquiry can ding your credit report by 5 points. A lot of hard inquiries in a very short time can ding your credit report by a lot of points. So if you do that, you are single-handedly reducing your credit score. So you need to be careful, and what I just tell them is, no thank you. I don't want to affect my credit report. So be really, really cautious. I had one woman tell me once that these are in the days when we got all those free interest, you know, for 90 days, and you could move your credit from one to the other. And she told me she was just moving her credit from one to the other and paying them off. Well, she was ruining her credit score by doing that, because every time she did that, she had a hard inquiry. So be careful. Now, credit.com, really great website, and they have a free tool that's called a credit report card. And they introduced this a few months ago, and it is a snapshot of your credit reports and your credit score. It breaks down your credit report into 5 areas: debt usage, payment history, account mix, credit age, and mix and inquiries. And then it gives you a score for each. So when I requested mine, because before I talk about something, I like to see what it is, my scores were all A's, A+, and I had 1 A-, and that A- was because my husband and I use our credit card to buy everything and then pay it off once a month. Well, when you do that, depends on when they look at your credit, you could have a very high rate of usage, because if you're charging everything. I don't know if that makes sense, but trust me, be careful if you're using your credit card for everything, because it can affect your credit score. Obviously, I still got an A-, it wasn't so bad. The great thing is, not only do they assign a letter grade, but they also tell you what actions to take to make your score better, to make that letter grade better. Now, let's look at an example of how your credit score affects you. So, for example, a $300,000 mortgage, 30-year fixed. If you have a credit score of 660 to 850, your interest rate is going to be 4.991%. Your monthly mortgage is going to be $1,609, and over the life of the loan, you're going to have paid $579,240 in interest. Okay, that's the total that you're paying, not just interest, but the total. Let's look at if you have a credit score of 620 to 639. Your interest is almost 2% more. It's 6.258. Your payment is $300 more a month, $1,912. And over the life of the loan, you will have paid $688,329. That's $109,000 more because of your credit score. Now, I don't know that I've said this before, but let me tell you about interest. When you're paying interest, whether it be to a mortgage company or a financial institution or a credit card company, you're basically saying, thank you so much for letting me use your money. Interest is like taking, and I wish I had it in here in front of me, a $100 bill and ripping it up, tearing it in pieces and throwing it away. When you are paying for interest, you are simply paying for nothing. So, let me stop by saying, don't wait another day. Request and review your credit report and your score today. In the next segment, we're going to talk about the magic of compounding interest.